Hello, my name is Mariana and I'm going to talk to you about my learning outcome number 3 of the subject of contemporary world. I would like to start telling you the major events of the history from 1947 to the present. First, we have the Cold War in 1947. It was between the United States and the Soviet Union and their respective allies. The Cold War was waged on political, economic, and propaganda fronts and had only limited resources to weapons. There was a struggle between these two superpowers. Then we have the establishment of NATO in April 4 of 1949. It was the creation of the North Atlantic Trade Organization, standardized warfare and works to provide a peaceful world. On August 13 of 1961, it was the beginning of the construction of Berlin Wall, which was constructed to separate East and West Germany. It was extremely symbolic and basically separated communism and socialism. Now we have the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 15 in 1962. It was the closest the war ever came to a nuclear war. It lasted 14 very tense days. In July 20 in 1969 was the first moon landing. In Apollo 11 was the space flight that landed the first two humans on the moon. In the last slide I was talking about the Berlin Wall. So now in November 9 in 1989 was the fall of the Berlin Wall. We continue with the end of the Cold War in December 8 in 1991 with dissolution of Soviet Union. Some years later, the World Trade Organization was formed in January 1 of 1995. And in 2001, the September 11 attacks were a series of 4 coordinated terrorist attacks by the Islamic terrorist group Al Qaeda on the United States on the morning of Tuesday of the day I mentioned before. Then we have the present, like the digital ages. Now I would like to talk to you about some concepts. First of all, the globalization, which is the process by which businesses or other organizations develop international influences or start operating on an international scale. And now we have the terrorism, which is the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. And now in the image you can see the unipolar world is a distribution of power in which one state exercises most of the cultural, economic, and military influence. Unipolarity is an interstate system and not an empire. Now we have, like I said before, the digital era. So in the image you can see like the development of that era, which is a period in human history characterized by the shift from traditional industry that the Industrial Revolution brought through industrialization to an economy based on information technology. And now I'm going to make a relation with the concepts I mentioned before. And making a relation in these 4 concepts, some years ago our world wasn't so good at all because of the differences that keep us apart from each other, like in the Cold War, problems because want of the power. They had an unipolar world in which US and the Soviet Union had the major power and they were fighting for that. So that led us to the terrorism in which the people that doesn't have resources take advantage of the missing of attention of the major powers because they were in a war and commit violence and intimidation with weapons. What we need, I think that more attention and intelligence, like making a globalization work, to do business and creating influences, to be in a good relation with all the countries and be one finally because we need it. And the digital era help us, really help us. We have more contact through the social media, the internet, and with some support, we can be a really good nation and a really good world. And well, now we have some questions, so I'm gonna start. It says, why did the globalization emerge? And well, some argue that globalization as a phenomenon began with the earliest human migratory routes or with Genghis Khan invasions, while others view it far more contemporary. Many view globalization in its current form as a modern phenomenon, beginning no earlier than World War II. The term itself has been in common use since the 1980s. This is used in a critical sense. Globalization is also frequently used as a synonym for the solidification and continual creep of American dominance through the world. But this is born like a necessity, truly. And well, here is the second one. In most cases, what caused the terrorist attacks of 20th century? There are a lot of reasons like discrimination, religion, socioeconomic status, political grievances, and etc. There were modern ranges with new type of terrorists. They have always been with us, but now more because of the mess of the governments and that stuff. Okay, here we have the third one. How does the end of the Cold War relate with the unipolar world? Well, leaving the part that the war was relatively peaceful, there were fighting, and the most important, two superpowers. The unipolar war is the US and the Soviet Union fighting for power to be the major countries in the world. That's the definition of unipolar war, and that's the relation, I think. And here we have the last one. How has the digital era influenced today's society? Okay, I think in a huge way. Nowadays, we depend of the smartphones, the laptops, the all that technology stuff, and the communication is easier. Yeah, with the social media, and well, the people, companies, institutions were the ones that feel the technological change. The society is, in my opinion, getting dependent of all the things I mentioned before. Instead of do the things by ourselves, we leave everything to the digital stuff, our jobs, and also our lives, I think. But well, it's part of the evolution, and this is my presentation. Here we have the bibliography, and well, thanks for watching, and thanks for hearing me. Goodbye.